Fenrir, I smell fear. Get in my belly.
So who is Fenrir? Well, Fenrir is a melee assassin who does physical damage, he's pretty easy to pick up, and he has a strong early to mid game. What roles can Fenrir play? Well, in Conquest, Fenrir can play jungle, which is what this video is all about. He can also play solo, and that's kind of once you understand what Fenrir can do. And he can also play support, and this is not recommended for somebody who understands the basics of Fenrir, but fully understands the concept of Smite, Fenrir, and all the other gods. So let's take a look at Fenrir's passive ability. I would usually save this to the end of explaining all of his abilities, but Fenrir really focuses on his passive. And what his passive is an Unbound Ruins, and this is kind of a buff to Fenrir. And every basic attack activates one rune up to a max of 5. Each of Fenrir's ability gains an additional benefit when using a maximum runes, and the runes are consumed. Enemy gods that Fenrir kills will fully activate all of his runes. And what this is basically saying is you get more power for each rune you have. And this Fenrir relies so heavily on. If you don't use his runes effectively, you won't be able to do much but feed the enemy team. Fenrir must land 5 basic attacks before receiving full runes. Every time Fenrir uses an ability, he uses his runes, so try to get the full runes before ganking lanes as a jungle. And remember, for every god that he kills, he gets full runes. So use that to your advantage in 2v1s. Try to kill one god, get full runes, go for the next. This is how you fully maximize Fenrir's potential in games. So let's look at Fenrir's first ability called Unchained. This will help Fenrir get in and out of fights when he needs to, and it leaps him forward, dealing 80% of his physical power to all enemies when he lands. At full runes, the leap will stun gods for 1 second. If the leap hits an enemy god, the cooldown is then half. Again, it is a great way to surprise enemies and gank others. This ability can also be used to jump across walls for even a greater surprise. Now let's look at Fenrir's second ability. Fenrir will howl into the skies and gain more physical power and lifesteal for 6 seconds. At full runes, the buff is increased by 50%. And try to use this when farming for buffs or XP camps, as this one. I'll get damaged a bit, and I'll use my howl and immediately get right back up to where I started. This is great if for team fights when you're hurt, just go grab a camp, lifesteal it, and then you're done, back in the fight. Another great use for Fenrir's second ability is to tank Gold Fury for your team. As you can see, at full runes and full build, the Gold Fury is doing quite a bit of damage, but if I go ahead and activate that lifesteal and start hitting, I am gaining or staying even with the Gold Fury's damage output. Remember that second ability also gives you physical power, so use that to your advantage when going against gods or tanking Gold Fury for your team. Since we're going to be talking about Fenrir Jungle, we're going to look at his ability to clear camps and minions and destroy gods faster than almost any god I've ever seen in Smite, especially in the jungle role. So I'm going to show you what it looks like at full runes. Boom, done. That whole camp cleared with one ability. I'm going to basically generalize what that was doing. Fenrir will pounce to the ground. If there is an enemy in the radius, Fenrir will attack 4 times, dealing 50% of his physical power each time and becoming immune to knockups. At full rune, each strike deals 75% damage to nearby enemies. Remember, this is great to use on jungle camps once you have full runes. It's a great way to secure kills against low health gods, and try to use as a finisher move, not a starter. So let's get into one of my favorite abilities in Smite, just because it looks so cool and it's so unique. Now I'm going to go over what it kind of does before I actually use it. And so Fenrir will grow in size, becoming immune to CC while moving 50% faster. Fenrir bites an enemy god, dealing 120% of his physical power in physical damage, and carrying them away for 2 seconds. If that was not enough to convince you to use this god, if Fenrir bites a CC immunity target, he deals the damage but ends up losing his ult, but at full runes, Fenrir's protection is doubled. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like, and it is so satisfying to pick up an enemy god and throw him into a tower, or a phoenix, or anything else you could imagine. Now I just want to add a little bit more information to the ult, just in case you're still a little bit confused. For starters, it's okay to use Fenrir's ult to run away if you are in danger. Perfectly fine, just don't do it every time, you get the gist. The second thing I wanted to talk about is you do have to click or press the triggers, whatever you're playing, PC or Xbox, you do have to click the ability again to pick up an enemy god. It doesn't do it automatic. I've seen many people do this, where they believe it's automatic and they'll sit there and they'll probably die because of it, because they're in the middle. The third thing I would like to talk about using his ult is if you can stay away from it, I 100% recommend staying away from tanky gods. This is guardians, this is warriors. If you know they are tanky and you will not be able to kill them with a follow-up from your team or yourself, stay away from picking that god up. Just run away and come back and use it when you really can kill somebody and gain the most out of your ult. So what does Fenrir do for team fights? Well, Fenrir will want to focus down gods with the high DPS. This is damage per second. And these are usually your mages, assassins, and carry/ADC gods. And Fenrir wants to focus them in that order. Mages first, then assassins, then the ADC gods. Let's use this Gold Fury as a metaphor for a team fight. She gets me really low on health, almost to dying point. What I'm going to do as Fenrir jungle is I should try to find a lane or a buff to clear out real quick with lifesteal activated to get my HP back fully prepared for re-engaging in that team fight and helping out my team. Now, we don't live in a perfect world, so as I'm escaping, imagine an enemy god following me. What you're going to want to do is try to keep running back to the camp or lane that you want to farm. If they are still chasing you, just keep running to a different camp or TB back to the base. It's not worth your life just to try to prove that you have lifesteal, because they already know it, and by that time, you're probably dead. Sadly, that's about all I have written down for the important things you need to know Fenrir jungle. But let's go over the basic caps of the things that you should take away from this video, the pros and the cons of Fenrir. The pros of Fenrir are, he has a strong early to mid game, he has tons of escape, he has built-in lifesteal, and he is a great chaser god. Now to the cons. He's very weak to stuns and cripples. Lots of CCs shut him down immediately. He needs full runes to do incredible work, and he can be very predictable. Before I let you guys go, I would like to say thank you to those who have made it to this point in the video. It seriously means a lot. If you have any questions about this build or want to see other gods in the future, please let me know down in the comments or PM me through YouTube messages. Thank you so much again, and I hope you guys have a great day. Subscribe, share with your friends, and peace out.